My first trip to Night of Joy 2013. I went on my first trip to Disney's Night of Joy from September 6th through the 8th in 2013. After graduating from Candlelight Christian Academy on June 4th, 2013, I was still able to join them to attend Night of Joy. I look forward to it every year, but I had never been until that year. My favorite Christian radio station, Z88.3, gives away free family 4-packs of tickets to it annually, but I never won any. I have tried for about 4 years now to call them up to win tickets, but I have never succeeded. I almost got myself on the family name game last year until I accidentally hung up out of sheer excitement. In 2012, I won my mom a trip to the Women of Joy because I sent Z88.3 a letter about my mom in early May. I thought I would never go to Night of Joy, though, until Candlelight Christian Academy told me that they were planning on attending last year. Thankfully, I was still part of Christ's Church on the Move at the time, so I knew everybody that went from that church and from Candlelight Christian Academy. I took the whole weekend off and got a ride over since I still didn't have my license yet, but I did have my learner's permit at the time. My next-door neighbor gave me a ride over to the school, and I waited around until 4 p.m. before the church bus left for Haines City, where we stopped for an early dinner due to Hyde Park food costs. Half of us went to Popeyes, and half of us went to Burger King. I don't like Burger King that much anymore because I had a bad experience with them as a kid, so I went to Popeyes instead. I also had a bad experience with KFC as a kid, so I don't really like them much either. I especially hate the following: lollipops, stickers, and mints. Mints. I don't mind hot dogs as much as I used to, but I still don't really care for them that much either, because I had a bad experience with them as a kid. As well, you probably are starting to wonder why I'm going off topic, but this all goes back to the reason why I don't like Popeyes, and there's other restaurants I don't really like that much either. Anyway, back to the story. While we were at Popeyes, I looked out the window, and I noticed that we were heading into a very severe storm. True enough, we drove right into it, and got the worst part of it once we hit Baseball City and I-4. If God didn't tell the bus driver to open the front door to the bus, open the door to the bus at this point, we would have died that afternoon or evening. When we reached Fort Wilderness, the rain had finally slowed down, but thunder and lightning were still in the area. Our tents already were set up because of church members that raced ahead of us and got there before the bus did. 5 minutes later, the bus driver left and the church members explained to the teenagers and me, of course, the rules. I mean, I particularly didn't really need to read the rules because I've been going to Disney all my life, so I just kind of listened for entertainment. What I didn't like is the fact that they always had to have 2 other people with me wherever I went, which I found ridiculous, but at the same time there was kind of a good point for it for me. But I won't mention unless, of course, someone asks me in person. We took a boat to get over to the Magic Kingdom, and of course, I couldn't resist bringing along the family digital camera with permission to this event. Once we got past the gates, I picked up an event guide and got reminded who was going to be there that night. I had already known who was going to be there for the past month or 2 because I am a planner. On September 6, 2013, the following were performing: Skillet, my personal favorite, of course, Mercy Me, For King and Country, Audio Adrenaline, City Harbor, Michael W. Smith, Stephen Curtis Chapman, Mandisa, Mariah Peters, On September 7th, 2013, the following were performing: Newsboys, Toby Mac, my personal favorite. That night, Francesca Bettistelli, Building 429, Group 1 Crew, Matthew West, Plum, and Jamie Grace. Most of my weekend was spent riding Space Mountain and watching concerts. I did ride other rides too, but I mostly watched concerts, and especially Skillet and Toby Mac. I grew up listening to Toby Mac as a child, so there was no way that I was going to miss watching him. Everybody was required to watch Skillet that night before we left to go back to Fort Wilderness, because my crazy former English teacher is a hardcore Skillet fan. More hardcore than I am, I get, apparently, because it's a requirement to watch them. And he even insisted that night, just like the year before, what time everybody had to meet back there, and there was no skipping out on this. It's a good thing that I love Skillet, or else I would have complained, but that's besides the point. The same night that Skillet performed, I yelled out to John Cooper that he was awesome. And I got a response surprisingly. And let me let you all be aware that there were 10,000 people there on the first night, and I still yelled out to him, despite the fact that there were 10,000 people, and I still got a response. I didn't hear him, but a friend of mine that was near the front, the very front, told me on Sunday that he yelled back. Excuse me. I heard a bit of audio adrenaline on the first night as well, but I did a lot better with concerts the second night. I also got to see Ellis, Tyler, and Tracy from the Z88.3 morning show both nights, which made my weekend since I've been listening to Z88.3 all my life. I yelled bye to them on my way out the second night and messaged them the very next day on Facebook that I was there and said bye. Of course I got a response from them, and they were very happy to hear that I had a great time. The hardest part about the weekend was the fact that it was in the 90s or 30s for my Canadian friends who read this, because I put this on Facebook, or hear this for that matter. Even at night, it was hot and humid, and we had to use a lot of fans to cool us down. One of my tent buddies decided to destroy the zipper on our tent on the first night, so we got to sleep in the trailer on the second night. That made the weekend a lot easier to go through. Both nights I didn't get to bed until 2-3 in the morning, so it was great to be back in my bed again on September 8th, 2013. On the second night of my weekend, besides watching Toby Mac, I also watched Newsboys, a bit of Mandisa, who made a surprise appearance in the Toby Mac concert. I saw Matthew West live, who announced that Hillsong United will be at Night of Joy 2014. And I probably heard a bit of Jamie Grace's concert, but I'm not completely sure. We had to drink a lot of fluids and eat a lot of ice cream at the park to stay cool since it was so miserably hot and humid. On September 8th, 2013, we went to Typhoon Lagoon for the day, and I spent the day with two friends that I don't see very often because all three of us are in college. Their names are Brittany Bird and Sarah Hankins. Not even a little more than 2 months later, I returned to the same place with Joshua Koppel, a.k.a. my best friend, on December 28th, 2013. I finally got home at 5 p.m. that day, exhausted and ready to relax, but I had the most amazing time of my life that weekend.